our first customer was a man from Bermuda. He was visiting family, and when he read in the paper that a hobby shop opened, he walked in, he bought $200 worth of merchandise, and we said, that's the business for us. That was the last big sale we had for the whole year. That's a way to open up.
He tricked you.
Yeah. Oh, gee.
It was a good sign, because then the business was in business.
Yeah, he was on his way back to Bermuda, and to him it was like finding gold. But the thing that happened was, as merchandise became more civilian,
right, and available,
we found out there was a hobby shop opening on Pleasant Street.
Oh, really?
And we said, well, everybody's got to make a living. Then the customer came in and bought something and says, boy, you got a lot of competition. And Henry says, I do? He said, yeah, there's 2 hobby shops on this street. It turned out there were six of us at one time.
Oh, 6 at one time.
Yeah.
But you definitely outlived them in those shops.
Because everybody was hungry for merchandise.
Okay.
So it started off with the 6, and one went belly up, and the other one just couldn't make a living.
Wow.
So it went down to just one competitor. And he was the kind of guy that bought what he liked, not what the customer.
Ah, right.
So eventually, he gave up too. So then it became a business that, you can make a comfortable living. We never got rich, but Henry was happy.
Right.
And we had a lot of nice customers.
Yeah.
Some that became personal friends that would visit one another. It was nice.
Yeah.
It was a family thing. And when
you
we
were
sold the business, people were actually
sad.
They were stunned. But it got to a point, it's too much.
It's too much, yeah.
I couldn't get into the 2 windows to put the display out. I was standing all the time behind the counter. It's tough.
Yeah.
Henry used to sit on a little
stool,
like the high chair.
Yeah, stool. Yeah.
He has had these bad toes.
So he
toes.
Oh, so he's standing wasn't good.
Was very painful.
So what year, do you remember when you sold the business? What year?
We sold it to the young man that used to work for us.
Oh.
Who was a college graduate, very smart, and we tried to sell it over a year, and everybody was interested, but nobody could come up with.
So what was his name, the man who worked
Norman
for you?
Emmons.
Norman Emmons.
Yeah,
and what year? Do you remember what year?
Us, and I'll tell you the story. And when the lease came up on the Front Street property, the bank raised the rent very high. And we tried to reason with the bank on his behalf because we knew he couldn't handle it.
Right.
We couldn't have handled it either. So technically they were almost forcing him to leave. But his choice of location was bad. Instead of opening it somewhere in the Worcester area, somewhere preferably on Franklin Street, there were some stores. He decided he was going to West Boylston in a little
strip mall.
Strip.
So did he keep the same name?
Worcester had to have transportation to get there.
Oh.
Other kids either had a bicycle,
right,
from West Boylston. Here he is in the middle of nowhere, technically.
Yeah.
And he was a stubborn kid.
So it didn't continue.
And he always bought what he wanted.
Okay.
He was one of those.
One of those.
Overstocked.
Okay.
Became overstocked on some Henry and I were very cautious. If something new came out, we'd buy a small amount to test it out.
Keep your capital.
He would buy a cotton.
Right.
And those cottons didn't move. Some of them did, some of it. He played a gamble.
Right. Touch and go. Got you.
Last winter, we always said so I got a Christmas card from his wife, Peggy.
Oh.
And she said, I know you don't know this, but we had a fire, and it burned down.
Oh, just last year in West Boylston.
Henry's Hobby House went down in flames.
Oh, wow. And was it called Henry's Hobby House in West Boylston?
In West Boylston.
The same name?
Yeah.
Oh.
The name was worth the price of
Oh, that's what I'm saying. The name was worth the name, so I'm just curious if he kept it. Okay.
So the place
burned down.
He didn't.
So he's had it a long time.
Even with insurance to restart.
To restart.
So his brother got him a job in some factory place.
So he had the business running for another 20 years.
And if he wanted it for his son.
Oh.
He has a son, Casey.
Oh.
And
wow.
Casey was, helping him during
too bad.
school break.
Yeah.
And he was hopeful to Casey and one of the...
So just in 2010, it burned down?
Huh?
In 2010, it finally burned down. So what year? You're not sure when you started?
Last year.
And what year do you think you started? 1950?
No.
You were in business how many years?
No, he only had it, let's see, we were 58 when we retired. Oh. 50,
right. So that's 40 years.
58 years.
40 years ago. 30, right.
Yeah. So, Henry worked with them the first Christmas, and they had a bang-out Christmas.
Oh, that's good.
And he stayed, Henry went in 2 or 3 times a week, and after a while he said to me, I don't enjoy going in because he's taking in a lot of merchandise that doesn't sell, and he says, I'm uneasy about it. But, of course, they had paid for the business, so he'd go in just occasionally,
right.
And especially when they moved to West Boylston.
Right.
Henry said, they don't need me, they don't listen.
Right. But they kept it going for 15, 20 years.
Yeah. But it definitely was a shock when I heard that it burned down.
Yeah, that's so sad.
I said, I'm glad Henry isn't aware
of that. Yeah.
He'd be shattered.
Yeah, that's
that
sad.
Was his livelihood and his own good efforts.
And it was his creation.
Make it succeed.
Yeah, his creation.
It wasn't the kind of thing that people needed. I mean, it wasn't something you could eat or wear. But the amazing thing was during the hardest years, if we didn't make money at the end of the year, we broke even.
So at least you broke even.
Bills.
You always just paid, right.
Sometimes we'd stock up for Christmas, and so you didn't sell it till July.
Right.
It was merchandise.
Right.
And most of it was Henry only goofed once that I can recall. He fell for this product that never really came up. It was a material that you could, it was a powdery material in a bag, and you were supposed to create villages and things.
Like
nobody.
Like a plaster.
I mean,
like
sold
plaster.
a couple of bags, but I had a gut feeling it was going nowhere, and I said so. He says, they'll like it, they'll like it.
They didn't like it.
They liked it, all right. When we sold the business, it was still in the basement. I couldn't get rid of it.
Yeah.
Although we had a lot of merchandise that was no longer in production, but we had people I had a man from Chicago that wanted to know if we had the parts for a race car set, and all the, he was a real collector.
Accoutrements. Yes.
I think we must have made $1,000 on him on stuff that's no longer
You
needed.
couldn't get. Right.
But to him, it was
It was
great.
worth it. Yeah.
He was collecting.
Oh, well, that's good.
But it was a good business
Yeah.
in a way. That it was pleasant to turn the key and walk in.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Because it can be tiring.
Yeah, I would open up. Henry would go to the cafeteria, meet his buddies, have coffee.
Right.
And he'd show up about a half an hour after opening.
Okay.
I had a chance to, get
Set the place
everything-
up. Count. Did you count the bank?
Counters clean.
Yeah. And you counted the bank?
If I wasn't, if we weren't busy, I'd go home about 2:00 in the afternoon, make supper. Steve was home at that time; he wasn't in school,
Right.
and then I'd come back and pick him up, and it wasn't bad to do until we moved to Shrewsbury,
Okay.
but go up Route 9, and in the bad weather, many a times up the hill there, past the lake, it was traffic was heavy.
And what days were you closed?
I worked every day.
It was 7 days a week?
No, we never opened on Sunday except
Oh.
during the Christmas.
So Sunday you were
Thanksgiving.
closed. Okay.
Yeah, after that. And then
Okay.
we'd extend the business hours till 9.
Okay.
So it was,
It's long.
yeah. So we served coffee to the friends that came and always had some donuts,
It was fun.
Made it as comfortable and as happy as possible.
Well, we loved going there as kids. Anthony and I loved going there when we were kids.
Yeah. Well, I got to put her in. It's
Okay.
too hot for her.
All righty.
Come on, sweetheart.
That's the story of Henry's Hobby House in Worcester.